welcome to another episode of Untold Stories. The guest this time is our admin team headed by Ms. Ashima Bhat, and she's joined in by all her senior colleagues from all over, all India. Now, at least there's one thing that we can thank COVID for is that, it's created an opportunity for all of us to be talking to each other like this. And I just hope that these practices continue in future. It's a large team that, Ashima heads and, very complex. The way we understand it, there's no, a lot of these things that you do, your team does, can't be done remotely. If there is a branch that needs to be kept ready for customers and the staff to be used, it can't be done remotely. There has to be somebody giving the clearances in terms of hygiene, in terms of security, in terms of, the housekeeping. It's a little, a difficult job to do. We all understand this. Can you help us understand, Ashima? Can you help the viewers understand when we say admin in the context of a bank of this size, what all it means, what all it entails?
So thanks, Neeraj, for having us. I think what you said was right. This is a team which is on ground. This team, there'll be no concept of what you call work from home. If the bank has to run, they have to be on the ground. So they have to keep the offices running, they have to keep the services running, be it the facility attendants, the branches, the ATMs. I think the entire thing comes together with the admin team. And they are the guys on the ground for the last few weeks, several weeks in fact, who've been there at it. And now they have an added complexity to that also. Because of the current prevailing situation, they also have to make sure that the office is kept sanitized and disinfected. So we do that fairly regularly. So that's added on. Plus ensuring the safety of all employees. So the admin job is actually is not something every day we learn something new on the admin side. On some new complexity that gets added, be it a curfew, be it getting teens to the office, be it, liaising with the police, liaising with the BMC, with the medical staff. So while it's been challenging, it's also been, I think, a big learning, and we've realized what a critical part of the bank we are. Because to keep the machinery well oiled, the admin team has to be on their feet.
I can't not ask you this. When you first heard the Prime Minister announcing that that lockdown, what was your first thought? And who did you make the first call to within the bank?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think my first thought was employee safety. And if you see all the directives or the employee communication, which the Corpcom team helped us in, that came out of my office. The first thought was, how do we keep the employees safe, at the same time keep the bank running smoothly, because banking, as you know, is essential services, so we couldn't stop running. But those were the few thoughts. Clearly the admin team was the first port of call, in addition to speaking to the managing director and saying that this is something that we need to do. We need to have ground rules or SOPs on how people will work, where they will work, how they will come to work.
Was there ever a moment of panic or anything of that sort?
See, to panic is natural, but that panic helps you kind of also think a little clearly. And I think slight bit of, not panic, but a slight bit of, it adds to your alertness and helps you take decisions. So yes, I get one of the other, of course, areas that I look after is the medical portion for the entire bank. And right. That's the one that really kind of worries me the most because every now and then, and that kind of also, initial times tended to panic me a little bit more.
Ashima, you said there is no concept of work from home as far as the admin team is concerned. So which means the admin team have done their job at considerable risk to themselves. I guess there were times when they literally held their breath. Could you elaborate a little more on that?
I think, Ravindra, it's best for the guys on the ground. I think you can pick any of the regional heads. They've been the guys in the front line. Let Amar answer that.
Initial days were a little bit we were in a very complex situation at that time because in my part of area, police curfew was there in Punjab, in Chandigarh, and in Himachal. So it was a little bit difficult at that time that how to do all the things. Obviously, we were getting all the instructions from the head office and the business people also. So one fine day, after a few days of when the lockdown started, we got the information that government is allowing the branches to work for few hours in the morning, for say for 2 or 3 hours. Now our responsibility was more. Hence, BM has to do the business, but at the ground level, from admin side, we have ensured that housekeeping people should reach the branch in time before the opening hours. So the branch should be clean because hygiene, to maintain hygiene is the important factor in these days. Besides this, we have ensured also that our FAs, I mean security guards, they should be there in time. So I have involved all my team members in North 1 region as well as in North 2 region. But before that, we have given the clear-cut instructions to all our security as well as our housekeeping agencies that they should tell their people first that their salary will not be deducted. So they should be motivated to join the duty.
Hemant, would you like to say something on how you feel when you go to office every day?
Most important aspect here was, and what was worrying us was the environment which we had to provide to our colleagues sitting in the branches who were front-ending the branches and dealing with the customers. So providing them with the right kind of support was a big challenge. But within a couple of days, after a few struggles, yes, we ensured that each and every branch was sanitized. We ensured that the security, the housekeeping, and especially the repair and maintenance vendors were there. They were on time and they were present at the branches, and despite their difficulties to commute through various areas.
Hemant, you must cover that every time you've gone into the office. I think what Ravindran was also asking, every time you step into an office, what is it that your feelings are when you walk in?
We ourselves are also worried that we should not contract this pandemic, this disease, but the bank is of the prime importance, and the services has to continue. The show must go on. So, and since we are at the ground level, and so to say, we are actually the pillars on which this branch banking is resting. So we can't tremble, and we have to be there all the time.
Did you guys have time, or did you have to train the people below you, in terms of how to keep hygiene?
I think one of the things that my son taught me, my 9-year-old son taught me, is that wash your hands by singing happy birthday twice. Now that finishes 20 seconds. Okay, so now, but the reality is that for all of us at work, for us, washing hands is like a 2-second activity. So it's not like everyone knew about that. We've been harping on that, wash your hands, that there is a duration. Then sanitize your hand, reduce contact, wear a mask at all times. And this is just not for the juniors. It doesn't matter on the level. We've had challenges with people across trying to tell them, please wear a mask all the time. I think maybe Shakti can cover some of the things on the, on the fumigation aspect. Because you just can't spray something, you have to make sure that the right chemicals are being used. But I'll leave it to Shakti to answer that.
I think it's an opportunity for people to hear out what admin team has gone through in last about 8 weeks. And when we kind of pick up the day one, which was 23rd March onwards, I think it comes down to first of all take a stock of ourselves, whether we are ready. We have no ISO, no process have been documented on this such a big pandemic across globally. I have not seen in my global experiences. The second part is about how do we make our premises safe, and also keep people motivated to visit those premises. And the third part was about how do we ensure our service partners are readily available. So with this catching us, sleeping across India, the infrastructure was not even ready about the supply of chemicals, about having the best of trained pest control companies, about having the best of trained professionals, about having also which of the chemical we should use. So it was more of a chaos. As recently in one of the conversations, our Prime Minister has said that we become self-sufficient on producing PPE. 2 months before, we had to really fight to find a vendor in something like East, and we had to put people to the tune that okay, we will train you, we will give you everything, but then someone has to conduct those activities. So it was first thing to even know the opportunities and the work. Then secondly, then all of a sudden you find there's so much of WHO regulations about what is not good for body, what is to be used, what is not to be used. We have to keep everything in mind, because over 200,000 people across India, we can't just use anything which comes as a push to us, and we become part of pressure. So I think first of all, ensuring that what we're doing is correct, and then implementing in proper letter and spirit, to the tune within a week or 10 days, when really the team which is all on the platform today and talking, has really turned around things so quickly.
Anything different that you may have had to do for the agencies? I mean, did you have to train them or counsel them, saying, these are the do's and don'ts that we need to follow? Anything different there?
Yes, Neeraj, I think this is a very good question, because we are a team of 150 people, but then this 150 people, managing over 25,000 manpower, which are further helping 2 lakh people almost on our bank. So I think, as I said in my initial understanding, is there are service partners. I normally call them not service providers, but service partners. So these partners, the first thing which I said after 2 or 3 days of the closure, I've got every MD of those companies on a call, and I think this was one of the biggest call we have done, and we have addressed, to just first of all to extend our gratitude. Secondly, it is about telling them that bank is behind them about everything they are delivering. People like Vishwas, who's recently joined our team, but then someone like him, who was awake almost 18-19 hours in the day, to just ensuring there's a call from Calcutta, somewhere in UP, some places in MP, or maybe in Andhra or Karnataka, everywhere.
Given that you were dealing with many unknowns in this situation, which is also a health emergency, a number of authorities having to engage with, from the local authority to the Ministry of Home in Delhi. So doing this, how did you coordinate the whole exercise, and what are some leadership lessons from this?
I think, like I told the admin team very recently, I think they've stepped up. They've been exemplary in the way that they have reacted. Obviously, it helps to have a brilliant team backing it and willing to go that extra mile. I think if there was no reason to keep on convincing that it is something, I know other teams have had challenges about convincing people even to get to work. Fortunately, with the admin team, there was no such challenge. We knew there was a task to be done, and they stepped forward and did it. I think leadership lessons, if I was to list out, there would probably be 100 lessons that I have learned during this the last few weeks. Right from, I think the most important is being able to stay calm in the face of adversity, to take decisions, like you rightly said, which have a bank-wide impact.
Yes, Ashima. So my question is regarding the fact that we have a pandemic to grapple with. Along with that, we recently had a cyclone hitting eastern India. So it's almost like a double whammy. So in such a scenario of having to tackle double crisis or a situation like this, what are the lessons or takeaways or any learnings from this that you would like to share or your team would like to share? Thank you.
Prateek is the best guy to answer that, because he's been there and on ground. So let him answer that.
It's been a very difficult time for all of us. There was no electricity, no network. Every branch has to be called up. We were running on streets to get network here and there, wherever we could. Fortunately, across admin team and IT did support us. We were able to make all these sites live in 3 days. Luckily, we have 2 holidays, Saturday and Sunday. that helped us. We had to coordinate with vendors, make them understand that the bank is very important. We need to make sure that the bank is live, up, ready, working on the coming Tuesday. It was terrific job done by each of my team member, talking 24/7.
We would like to know one key leadership lesson that you learned through this whole COVID-19 process.
I think, like I was telling your colleague, that there is just not one lesson, but one thing that stands out, I think, more importantly, is the recognition of each and every one of the people who work with us, to see our operations colleagues, to see our branch banking colleagues, admin, of course, we've discussed, but to see them out there, to see our credit. I don't even want to name all the teams, but every single team which was out there, recognizing that there was a job to be done. I think the biggest learning for me from this has been that it is actually self motivation that eventually comes. So it is also very important to recognize and put the team together. We've been able to kind of connect the entire teams, the entire bank, in fact, on this. We have Venkat there from the south. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Venkat was probably one of the first buildings that got sealed in the bank, where we found out that one of our vendors was COVID positive. I think the lessons that he would have learned is something that we should all listen to.
We have not learned just one lesson. We have learned multiple lessons thanks to this pandemic. And then it's been an everyday learning lesson. So before I come back to this location which Madam was talking about, I think the greatest lesson we learn every day is our call, wherein we hear from other regions as to what they have done and what different they have done. So we try to paste that into our situation so that all our regional heads, the central team, talk to each other on a daily basis in addition to the call, and then the entire leadership is available. So we keep learning every day and implementing it, thereby also cascading this information to the team. And also I would take one opportunity to thank every other business who have been very supportive in this, in terms of whenever we tell them about occupancy, about the way they need to work in the bank, the business leadership has been very supportive to us in terms of they have blindfoldedly adhered to whatever we have asked them to do. So that itself talks about a great organization values. And coming back to this Arumbakam thing, we got to know about this on April 14th when one of our vendor staff was tested positive and the facility was closed by the government authorities for a month. That was the initial guideline given to them. So subsequently we kept on talking to them, followed all the processes that were told to us. In addition, carrying out additional fumigation, disinfection, working with the HR on keeping a tab of all the employees' health on a day-to-day basis, whether they were being tested or asked to be self-quarantined. And we got the branch opened in 15 days. So to that, for us, it was an achievement because the initial requirement was it could be closed for 28 days. So, but we got it opened in 15 days. So, and then post which we carried this learning to other officers to ensure that we go and inform the others about any finding.
Did you ever face a challenge in sending back staff to work post fumigation of premises after a person from that place was detected COVID positive?
I think I would use the same logic. I would not send anyone back if I personally wasn't sure of being able to walk into their office, either myself or even if I was to take any of my family members, because that is how safe we've ensured it should be. We did not see any resistance. I think what has been a big learning is that the other teams have trusted us implicitly. There have been times when we've said that shut down this branch, everyone go home. I've never had a complaint. No, I have something to do. Nothing. It was shut. When we restarted, we said now it's open, you can restart, and the teams were back. Every time we've done that, I've had no challenges, which speaks for the leadership and the trust that they have in all the teams working. I think this, now that you mention it, I think one of the important things that we've learned through all this is how connected we all are. You know, what one team does has an impact on another team. Okay, this is like Venkat mentioned, there's a vendor of another team which is COVID positive, and how it cascaded impact on everyone, and how everyone didn't say, how could you get him, how could you do this? They quietly went about their BCP, they quietly went about what they were supposed to do in this crisis. So I think that's been very important. I don't think we've met resistance from any team. And that is why I think you see me on the BCP call, you hear me on the BCP call. I've said one thing very clearly, this is something that is not likely to go away in a hurry. So how will be your social behavior on back to work, whether it's the 1st of June, 15th June, whatever the date is, you have to imagine that you're COVID positive and everyone around you is COVID positive. Only then will the mask go up. Only then will you make sure that your hands are always clean, you're not touching your face. Now, I'm not a doctor, but this is what everyone is saying, which will kind of reduce the, your level of being susceptible to any infection, which will reduce it significantly. I think we should all follow this. Now, we can't sit at home forever and say, oh God, what is going to happen? We have to get on with our lives. And then how do we get on with our lives is what we have taught. We have been sending out rules. And I've seen most teams willing to listen. And that's thanks to all the heads. I mean, when I said don't come into work, nobody called and said that, no, my work is very important. When I said don't come into work, they didn't come into work. When I said get into work, they all got into work. So it's been quite interesting.
In the last 2 months, there have been a lot of stressful moments, but I'm sure there must have also been a few lighter moments with you and your team. Maybe you can share 1 or 2 anecdotes with us, from maybe something a little more humorous or something that, really struck a chord.
I don't think there have been too many light moments in the last, but I think what from the initial, I'd leave it to the team.
I would just like to say that I don't recollect any lighter moments, but definitely I would like to say that I joined the organization in the middle of middle of February, and from the day one it was, and before I could settle down, I was into action. But that is what security professionals are supposed to do. So I'll just say that the good thing about this, definitely the entire world was facing a situation which nobody had experienced in the recent or a distant past. So there was a lot of confusion that what needs to be done. So what I thought, that I was also fairly new to the organization, so I made 2 promises to myself that we will ensure that all our facilities are 100% guarded at any given point of time. And secondly, I thought that I should try to give the business to the management the information, timely information, and fairly correct information, which helps them taking the right decisions at the time. And partially, I say we were successful in doing that. And the most, I say, personally, one of the most happy moments for me was that it didn't take me much of time to start knowing people. Everybody in the organization from top to bottom I was interacting with. So this was one of the good things. And we were in a situation where, as security professionals, we were in a situation whatever we are supposed to do, we were doing it, and people were looking upon to the team, to the entire security team, for whatever support was required in terms of a movement of all the essential services, movement of certain essential equipment, and many other things. But yes, the best thing which has happened, that it didn't take me much of time to create that bonhomie, that camaraderie with the immediate team and the entire admin team. So everybody knows each other. So I couldn't have a better time to personally to settle down.
You had induction by fire, literally. Shakti has some. Since Sharna is asking for the life of me, I can't think of a funny anecdote. But if Shakti has something, maybe you can ask him if there was anything funny or humorous that he's found in the last few days.
When we are dealing with human resources, I think the lighter movement has to be there, because that's what keeps everyone minded together. So I give you some reason when one of the question was asked that whether it was people were feeling safe to come to office or not. We have feedback from employees. They written a mail to us saying that we feel more safe in the office than going back home. To some take it to the next level, we have people, employees complaining that our family member are saying that you don't come to home, you stay in the office. We've got some requests in the East and Mumbai that they want to stay back in the offices because they feel they are not safe at home. I've been writing on this journey, when we were just going through this fulfilling part in terms of learning. So I just 4 lines which I've written is, चलते रहे हैं सफर में तो मंजिलें भी कहाँ थमी हैं, चलते रहे हैं सफर में तो मंजिलें भी कहाँ थमी हैं, गुजरते हर चेहरे पे देखो तो आशाओं की नमी है. This is how people look at us, that yes, these are the people who will take care of all of us. So गुजरते हुए हर चेहरे पे देखो तो आशाओं की नमी है. हमें तो नापने हैं सातों आसमान इस जन्म में, हमें तो नापने हैं सातों आसमान इस जन्म में. ये तो एडमिन के हौसलों की बस शुरुआती जमी है.
क्या बात है.
I want to also thank you, Neeraj and team, because I think what you said was untold stories. I think there are a lot of teams which form the backbone of the bank, be it the admin team, the infra team, be it the operations and all. They actually are the engine of the bank, and which is why I think it's great that you're talking about these stories, because they are not the frontline desk person in branch banking who's superbly important for the bank, but to make them be able to sit on the desk and provide that level of service, all these teams have to work. So thank you for kind of thinking of us.
Wonderful to have you. We learned so much, and I'm just hoping that one of these learnings that I'm definitely wanting to continue is this. Every quarter maybe we spend time with you, with the entire team, and let the rest of the staff benefit from this. Thank you so much again.